let's say that this is the body of God, and we will discuss the return of Christ and false matrix. So, this is the body of God. Of course, I used a dog, that is God spelled backwards. This is one big body, and we are the red blood cells all throughout this body. Of course, if there is an infection, you get called to the forefront. If you are a warrior, that is a white blood cell in a time of need. So, for the most part, we are the red blood cells. We all have our own nucleus. We all have our own heart. The blueprint is extended from the heart, the original blueprint, God's blueprint. Every single person that has a heart, every single one of us has our own blueprint. So your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, your lover, every single person's heart has their own blueprint. This comes out, it extends. It's everywhere, of course, but it is like a webbing, like the World Wide Web, but your own personal blueprint. Of course, God has the main blueprint, right? Now, this can change to an extent, right? So, this blueprint radiates from each and every one of our hearts, the original blueprint. What happens is when there is an infection, let's say that there was a cut, bacteria can enter, and now it is creating false imprints or blueprints. And we can get this infection through trauma. We all experience major trauma coming out of the womb. Some experience trauma while in the womb, and throughout our life, we take on patterns. That is all these layers of webbing. And the more wounding we experience, the more patterns that are put, onto us, or when the integrity is broken. So, the integrity of the body, of the God body, of your physical body and your energetic body is broken through trauma, wounding of any kind. This can be psychological wounding, this can be a wounding of the heart, on the energetic body, and of course on the physical body. When we sin, when we lie and cheat and steal and anything that is not out of integrity, that breaks the integrity of the energetic body. I will add that through our eyes and ears, what we listen to, what we look at, what goes into our mouth and our nose, all the holes, things can enter that way, but things can enter our mind, right? So this has to do with AI and artificial intelligence, which is the foreign bodies that can move into the body, move into the mind, or any other way it entered, any traumas, patterns that we took on from family, ancestrally. All of these are forming patterns that are not the original blueprint when something foreign comes in. This will attack the God body, and now the integrity of the body is broken. So when this false timeline is created, this fake net, this fake webbing, or many of them, we end up jumping ships to all these other webbings or all these other timelines that really are not ours, or were not ever meant for us. We can experience something with a relationship, for example, in a wound. So now we think like this, and then this other thing comes along, and we think it makes sense because we're on the wrong, a wounded timeline, for example. Or, of course, this happens through social media. There are a lot of distortions. So The return of Christ is a return to heart consciousness. This is returning to the original blueprint that radiates from the heart, God's original plan. This is a return of love and living from a place of love and integrity and truth and in authenticity. That is the return of Christ. So, what happens is this is also the sun, the heart and the sun consciousness. That is Christ consciousness. So, let's say that there is a sun, right? This is also the sun. But what happens is when the sun goes through the eyes and reaches the third eye, the pineal gland, that light is bringing awareness to things that were hidden and kept in the dark of the consciousness, the subconscious, the heart consciousness, things that have been hidden. This can be painful because the truth is painful and the truth is in here. So this will break the heart open, and now there's a crack in the heart. Now it can be filled with light. This is the return of Christ. When we allow artificial intelligence of any kind, of things that we give our attention to and put in our bodies, when the more artificial we allow into us, the more webbing and patterns that are created. And as I said, this does include wounding. We all take on wounding and patterns from our family. So the idea is to remove these this false net, these false patterns. We want to remove all of these, and when we do this and off of the heart expands. It is now able to breathe again, as well as the body. So these layers are stored within our energetic body, our organs, all of it, all the tissues. But the heart, the heart pumps the blood all through the body. It transports nutrients and oxygen. It provides, just as the sun does. How does God talk to you? God will speak to you through your heart. You will feel it, or show you images like visions, through the eye up here. So, this is how God talks to you. You are the cells. You can also talk to the cells in your body in that way. You can also connect to your cells through feeling and visually. So, just as God can do this to the body, you can do this to your own, but we do have an autonomic nervous system, and the body organically will, the systems will move and work in a way that it needs to. So when we try to take control and disrupt that, or avoid the original blueprint, the God blueprint, it can cause distortions. This is when you feel like you're going against the grain, because naturally things flow in the way that they're supposed to. And we are all part of the same body. So it is all too common and far too often that there's a cell over here or over here that thinks that this cell is wrong and what they believe in is wrong, and may undermine them or put them down or talk badly or negatively about a cell over here. If you are not for God, you are against, because all of the cells are still part of the same body. They are all one. They are all part of the God body. So the cell that grew up in this energy is not going to understand the cell in this energy. But we move throughout here, right? So it is all about perspective, but to view another cell, that their path is right or wrong, or what they believe in is right or wrong, is ridiculous, because every single blueprint or heart has its own blueprint, and every cell is on its own part of the matrix, right? They're in their own experiences over here, which is not going to look like anything over here, not to mention it's a different blueprint. By taking care of our own cell, the integrity of our cell, the health of our cell, the happiness of our cell, this is how we are, contributing. We are contributing to the body of God through love. A cell is either going to be nourishing and healthy and promoting wellness in the body, or if it is unhealthy and in lack and depleted, it is going to bring down the other cells. It is going to cause conflict if it is resisting the flow of the blood or the natural systems of the body. There are cells in our tissues, our organs, our eyes, the blood. We have cells everywhere. The idea is to take care of the heart. This is our life. You cannot reach God, you cannot reach heaven except through Him, through Christ. They are one of the same, because this is the heart, the Son of God. The blood must travel through the heart, and you must go through the purification of the light. Removing the false timelines is painful. Again, the truth is painful, and facing the wounds and the things that are false, the idea is to remove the layers, the false layers, the wounding. And that in itself is painful. Having light shed on the truth is painful. Accepting that all the false layers that we have known or were creating from is painful. But the more that these are removed and we come back to the truth and authenticity and love and the original blueprint, the more free will you have, because you are now creating with God. You're a co-creator, not against God. You're not creating from a wound or from a false idea or belief or a false experience. What happens when a dog shakes, right? It's the shaking when the dog's like, shakes its body off. The false layers are removed. They'll just break off and break apart. So suddenly people disappear from our life, right? Why did this person leave my life so fast? Why did this change so drastically and suddenly? Because when the dog decides to shake off, it's going to break away all the false netting. But when you are grounded and rooted in God's blueprint, the true blueprint of your heart and what is made for you in your path, you are grounded and rooted. It is more solid. So it's not that you won't feel a rumble, but it's not going to fall apart because it's yours. It was created for you by God. It's not on a false matrix. It's not created from wounding or, a past injury or some foreign entity. AI is sentient, and can create this and all these ideas, but it does not have a heart. We want to remove all those layers. But once that is done and you return to the heart of Christ, to truth and your purpose here, then you are free of that webbing.